ಎಲ್ರು ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? How are you all?
Fine.
Fine, Prabhuji.
Excellent. Only fine, huh? Okay. Okay, we'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiret. Nastapráyeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Chaitanyamishwaram Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Sharakaya Chakshurum Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining Bhagavatam study. So we're continuing from Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 15, Text
16.
16. We read purport, some portion of purport. Here Arjuna is talking about the various generals. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, last week we discussed about Karna. We'll continue from there now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I will read.
Yeah, okay. Gurishwara.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Napta or Bhurishrava. Bhurishrava was the son of Somadatta, a member of the Kuru family. His other brother was Salya. Both the brothers and the father attended the Swayamvara ceremony of Draupadi. All of them appreciated the wonderful strength of Arjuna due to his being the devotee friend of the Lord. And thus Bhurishrava advised the sons of Dhritarashtra not to pick any quarrel or fight with them. All of them also attended the Rajasuya Yajna of Maharaja Yudhishthira. He possessed one Akshoyini regiment of army, cavalry, elephants and chariots, and all these were employed in the battle of Kurukshetra on behalf of Duryodhana's party. He was counted by Bhima as one of the Yuthapatis. In the battle of Kurukshetra, he was especially engaged in a fight with Satyaki, and he killed 10 sons of Satyaki. Later on, Arjuna cut off his hands, and he was ultimately killed by Satyaki. After his death, he merged into the existence of Vishwadeva. Trikarta or Susarma, son of Maharaja Vriddhakshetra, he was the king of Trigarta Desha, and he was also present in the Swayamvara ceremony of Draupadi. He was one of the allies of Duryodhana, and he advised Duryodhana to attack the Matsya Desa Darbhanga during the time of cow stealing in Virata Nagara. He was able to arrest Maharaja Virata, but later Maharaja Virata was released by Bhima. In the battle of Kurukshetra, he also fought very valiantly, but at the end he was killed by Arjuna. Jayatratha, another son of Maharaja Vriddhakshetra. He was the king of Sindhu Desa, modern Sindh, Pakistan. His wife's name was Dushchala. He was also present in the Swayamvara ceremony of Draupadi, and he desired very strongly to have her hand, but he failed in the competition. But since then, he always sought the opportunity to get in touch with Draupadi. When he was going to marry in the Salya Desha, on the way to Kamyavana, he happened to see Draupadi again and was too much attracted to her. The Pandavas and Draupadi were then in exile, after losing their empire in gambling, and Jayadratha thought it wise to send news to Draupadi in an illicit manner through Koti Sashya, one of his associates. Draupadi at once refused vehemently the proposal of Jayadratha, but being so much attracted by the beauty of Draupadi, he tried again and again. Every time he was refused by Draupadi, he tried to take her away forcibly on his chariot, and at first Draupadi gave him a good dashing, and he fell like a cut-through tree. But he was not discouraged, and he was able to force Draupadi to sit on the chariot. This incident was seen by Daumya Muni, and he strongly protested the action of Jayadratha. He also followed the chariot, and through Datreika, the matter was brought to the notice of Maharaja Yudhishthira. The Pandavas then attacked the soldiers of Jayadratha and killed them all. And at last, Bhima caught hold of Jayadratha and beat him very severely, almost dead. Then all but 5 hairs were cut off his head, and he was taken to all the kings and introduced as the slave of Maharaja Yudhishthira. He was forced to admit himself to be the slave of Maharaja Yudhishthira before all the princely order, and in the same condition he was brought before Maharaja Yudhishthira. Maharaja Yudhishthira was kind enough to order him released, and when he admitted to being a tributary prince under Maharaja Yudhishthira, Queen Draupadi also desired his release. After this incident, he was allowed to return to his country. Being so insulted, he went to Gangotri in the Himalayas and undertook a severe type of penance to please Lord Shiva. He asked his benediction to defeat all the Pandavas, at least one at a time. Then the battle of Kurukshetra began, and he took sides with Duryodhana. In the first day's fight, he was engaged with Maharaja Drupada, then with Virata, and then with Abhimanyu. While Abhimanyu was being killed, mercilessly surrounded by 7 great generals, the Pandavas came to his help, but Jayadratha, by the mercy of Lord Shiva, repulsed them with great ability. At this, Arjuna took a vow to kill him, and on hearing this, Jayadratha wanted to leave the war field and asked permission from the Kauravas for this cowardly action. But he was not allowed to do so. On the contrary, he was obliged to fight with Arjuna, and while the fight was going on, Lord Krishna reminded Arjuna that the benediction of Shiva upon Jayadratha was that whoever would cause his head to fall on the ground would die at once. He therefore advised Arjuna to throw the head of Jayadratha directly onto the lap of his father, who was engaged in penances at the Samanta Panchaka pilgrimage. This was actually done by Arjuna. Jayadratha's father was surprised to see a severed head on his lap, and he at once threw it to the ground. The father immediately died, his forehead being cracked in 7 pieces. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so Prabhupada very elaborately explains the different personalities here, starting from Burishwara, how they were part of the Rajaswagya and Draupadi Swayamvara. So these are all self-explanatory. So then talks about Tegartha or Susarma, so Vidakshetra's sons, and also talks about Jayadratha. Jayadratha is one of the great personality, or will not say great, one of the big personality in Mahabharata because of his notorious activities. Prabhupada explains that. So he had a, kind of wanted to marry Draupadi, but he was lost. And even after that, he was not, living that. So this is the quality which is against Kshatriya Dharma. Kshatriyas, yes, they will fight. They will fight for women. They fight, like a Swayamvara marriage, they fight. But when they lost, they'll give up. They will not, go do cheating. That cheating is not a Kshatriya quality. That's the difference here. But Jayadratha was that kind of a personality. Especially when Pandavas were in exile. That's the time he thought he can influence Draupadi, because Pandavas, they lost everything. Now I am the king, so you come with me. kind of a message he tried to give. But Draupadi, refused. And finally, he tried to kidnap. So Daumya, protested. Daumya Rishi protested. And finally, Pandavas. And literally, they killed him, but they didn't kill him. So they removed the whole hair except 5 hair. So this is what they said, no? When for a respected person, insult is worse than death. So here, for a king like Jayadratha, so that kind of insult is worse than death. And then he was taken to different palaces as introduced as a slave of Yudhishthira Maharaj. But see, other side of it, Yudhishthira Maharaj, when as soon as Yudhishthira Maharaj came to know, when the Jayadratha came in front of Yudhishthira Maharaj, immediately ordered to release him. So he never wanted his to be punished. So this is the quality of devotee. And the same way, Draupadi also, she did not want to, punish Jayadratha, like even though he was such a heinous. As per Shastra, whoever does this kind of crime should be killed immediately, instantly. But Yudhishthira and Draupadi, they were so merciful, they said he should be released. Same thing happened to Ashwatthama also. Ashwatthama did so much heinous act. He killed the sleeping children, the 5 Upa-Pandavas. But still, when the Ashwatthama was arrested and brought, Draupadi, said release him. Yudhishthira also told release him, don't kill him. Even though Krishna himself told Arjuna that he should be killed. But this is the quality of a pure devotee. At any cost, the quality of a devotee is that whatever insult, whatever pain for them, they'll tolerate. But if something happens to a devotee or a cow, a brahmana, a child, a woman, they will not tolerate. That is the quality of a devotee. Here, Yudhishthira and Draupadi, they were exhibiting that kind of a quality, that even though they have done so much heinous act, they asked him to release. Okay, we'll read the next one. We'll move on. 17.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it's allocated to me.
Yeah, please.
Canto 1, chapter 7. Chapter 15, text 17. Sautye vrataha kumatina atmadaha ishvaraha me yatpada padmam abhavaya bhajanti bhavaya mam shrantavaham aryaha ratinaha bhuvistam na praharanam yat anubhava nirasta chittaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Right.
It was by His mercy only that my enemies neglected to kill me when I descended from my chariot to get water for my thirsty horses. And it was due to my lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared engage him as my chariot driver, for he is worshipped and offered services by the best men to attain salvation. Purport. The Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the object of worship both by impersonalists and by the devotees of the Lord. The impersonalists worship his glowing effulgence emanating from his transcendental body of eternal form, bliss, and knowledge, and the devotees worship him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are below even the impersonalist consider him as to be one of the great historical personalities. The Lord, however, descends to attract all by his specific transcendental pastimes, and thus he plays the part of the most perfect master, friend, son, and a lover. His transcendental relation with Arjuna was in friendship, and the Lord therefore played the part perfectly, as he did with his parents, lovers, and wives. While playing in such a perfect transcendental relation, the devotees forgets by the eternal potency of the Lord that his friend or son is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although sometimes the devotee is bewildered by the acts of the Lord. After the departure of the Lord, Arjuna was conscious of his great friend, but there was no mistake on the part of Arjuna, nor any ill estimation of the Lord. Intelligent men are attracted by the transcendental acting of the Lord with a pure, unalloyed devotee like Arjuna. In the war field, scarcity of water is a well-known fact. Water is very rare there, and both the animals and men working strenuously on the war field constantly require water to quench their thirst, especially wounded soldiers and generals feel very thirsty at the time of death. And it sometimes so happens that simply for want of water, one has to die unavoidably. But such scarcity of water was solved by the battle of Kurukshetra by means of boring the ground. By God's grace, water can be easily obtained from any place if there is a facility of boring the ground. The modern system works on the same principle of boring the ground, but modern engineers are still unable to dig immediately whenever necessary. It appears, however, from the history so far, back as the days of the Pandavas, that big generals like Arjuna could at once supply water even to the horses, and what to speak of men by drawing water from underneath the hard ground simply by penetrating the stratum with a sharp arrow, a method still unknown to the modern scientists. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So further, Arjuna is narrating here. He says, it was by his mercy only that my enemies neglected to kill me when I descend from my chariot to get water for my thirsty horses. And it was due to my lack of esteem for my Lord that I dared to engage him as my chariot driver. For he was worshipped and offered services by the best of men to attain salvation. So now Arjuna realizes that the person is sitting, of course, he knew even that time also. It's not that he did not know that Krishna offered to the services. So, but some extent, Arjuna was, in Yoga Maya, Arjuna was covered by Maya so that he doesn't, take it so seriously. Otherwise, he would not have engaged Krishna in the chariot driver. If he has not engaged Krishna chariot driver, whole war would have been opposite side. So that's the reason Krishna wanted him in that war field. So now Arjuna is lamenting that I engaged him all this menial services. And more than that, he's talking about that when he got down from the chariot to get water, opponent would have easily killed him. But Krishna's protection, he was protected. So here, Prabhupada and the purport, generally, if we see Prabhupada purport, always the first line is a very, very punch line. So that's the important line. He says, Supreme Personality Godhead, Supreme Lord, Personality Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the object of worship both for impersonalists and devotees. So the person may be impersonalist, but still he worship him as a, Brahmajyoti. But end of the day, everybody worships him. Even devotees worship Krishna in a different form as a Supreme Personality Godhead, as a Archa Vigraha, or in Kali Yuga, his holy name. Whichever form, whether it's person or imperson, he is worshipped. But at the same time, we need to understand Krishna is not impersonal. Krishna is a person. We have our body, we have our form. Similarly, our father, grandfather, great-grandfather, everybody has form, had form. So then why not our original father, Krishna, doesn't have form? So he's not in person, he's a person. Even Brahma Samhita, explains, Brahmadeva explains his form, his, place of address, and everything is explained. So he is, that's the first point Prabhupada makes. And also, he always, executes all the relationship, whether as a son, as a lover, as a father, as a husband, so as a friend, and as every relationship he made does perfectly. Prabhupada says he is a perfect master, and he's a perfect father, he's a perfect husband, he's a perfect friend. So in all perspective, he is perfect. There is no way he makes a mistake. So whereas sometimes devotees forget, like for example, here Prabhupada talks about here Arjuna forget that he is Supreme Personality Godhead. So he made him to work as a chariot driver. Similarly, we can see in Damodar Leela or Vrindavan Leela how Mother Yashoda trying to punish Krishna with a stick. So even though he's Supreme Personality Godhead, but because she never thinks that Krishna is Supreme Lord, she always thinks that he is my son. I should punish him. I should correct him. That is the mood in Mother Yashoda, because their Yoga Maya cover is there on Yashoda Maya. So similarly, we can see Nanda Maharaj also. Many times there's a pastime saying that Nanda Maharaj asking Krishna to bring his chappal. Krishna carries the chappal of Nanda Maharaj in his head and brings it. Supreme Personality of Godhead carries the chappal of a devotee, because Nanda Maharaj, even though he plays a role of father, is a devotee. So this is the renunciation. This is the kind of a service Lord does. Lord is always waiting to serve his devotees. What such a menial service, he's ready to do it. So that's point here. Prabhupada says intelligent men are attracted by the transcendental acting of the Lord with the pure unalloyed devotees like Arjuna. So Sumedha, Bhagavatam takes that devotees are Sumedha. Devotees are intelligent because they take up devotional service. Our intelligence is not in any other things. By not creating big rockets or atom bombs, that's not intelligence. The intelligence is to take up devotional service. Prabhupada says that is a real the independence. Otherwise, we are fully dependent on Krishna. When we fully depend on Krishna, that is a real independence. Otherwise, we are not independent. We are always covered with Maya and so many other problems. But when you fully depend on Krishna, that's a real independence. Similarly, a devotee completely surrendered to Krishna, that's the real intelligent. That's why Prabhupada here talks about how the requirement of water. Our scientists cannot find water. Now, there was a news item that Bangalore, after a few years, there will not be any water. Today, every compound, there is a borewell happening. Everywhere, the water scarcity is. Now, summer will see how difficult is that. So, the water level will go down because no rainwater harvest, no trees, roads are concrete, buildings are concrete. How the rainwater will happen? How the water will remain? Mother Earth cannot sustain. But olden days, not like that. Olden days, lot of natural rainwater harvest were there, and lot of trees were there. So all this naturally was there. But today we are going against the Mother Earth, and we are trying to exploit. Digging into the ground, sometimes 1,500 feet, 1,800 feet, 2,000 feet down. How long? How long it is going to continue? We don't know. So finally, Prabhupada says here that by drawing the water from the underneath the hard ground simply by penetrating the stratum with a sharp arrow. So this is many times not even arrow, by chanting mantra, they used to get the things. So the mantra is so powerful. So with the mantra, they could do anything. So somebody was other day saying that any mantra in the end manganaka viriltanda. By mantra, can you get the mango down? Why mango? They can get whole the world up and down. That's the power of mantra. That's the power of mantra is Brahmastra. Brahmastra is such a weapon, it can go and hit kilometers away the person only and it will come back. That is the power of mantra. So mantra is so powerful, especially in Kali Yuga. The mantra is Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just by chanting the mantra, we can do the magic. Magic, what Srila Prabhupada is saying, that magic is going back to Godhead. That is magic we can do. Yeah. We'll do one more sloka quickly. Anybody is allocated?
Which one?
18.
Hermani?
Yeah. Who's reading? Anybody read, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Good.
Shall I read?
Yeah, good.
Text 18. Narmani udara ruchira smita shobitani he Partha he Arjuna sakhe kuru nandaniti sanjalpitani naradeva hridispritsani smartur lutanti hridayam mama madhyavashya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace is the Vedanta Swam Prabhupada Ki Jai. only no purport, only translation. O king, his jokings and frank talks were pleasing and beautifully decorated with smiles. His addresses unto me as O son of Partha, O friend, O son of the Kuru dynasty, and all such heartiness are now remembered by me, and thus I am overwhelmed.
Yeah. So in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, no, to Arjuna tells to Krishna, see, in many times jokingly I played with you. We had eat together. I never consider you as Supreme Lord. I always consider you as a friend. But you are Paramdhama. You are Paramatma. You are Supreme Personality God. You are pure. So that's why Krishna, the Arjuna glorifies Krishna. So here also he is saying, O king, he addressing to Yudhishthira Maharaj, his jokings, frank talks were pleasing and beautiful. Krishna also was so friendly with Arjuna. And he always, talking about Krishna's smile, is a decorated smile. He addresses unto me as a son of Pritha. So that's why he called Partha. And friend, a son of Kuru dynasty. These are all addresses he makes. So now he is no more with me. So Srila Vishnu Chakra Thakura says that words touched by his heart because of their sweet syllable. Luthanti stands for Lothayanti, not using the quasitive form of his is a poetic license. So that's how Krishna used to address Arjuna. See, this is not just for Arjuna. Krishna does for every devotee. That is the point we need to understand. Krishna is always there to serve his devotees. That starts from Srimati Radharani or Gopis or whoever, the great sages. He is there to serve them. He is waiting. And even for us, what all service Krishna does? Krishna provides us sunlight, Krishna provides us oxygen, Krishna provides us food, and Krishna takes care of whenever there is a difficulty. We go and ask Krishna, Krishna, please help me. He comes. He is there to do all kind of service for us. Actually, in reality, we are a servant. He is our master. We should serve him. But generally, I make him to serve me. I go and request, please do this, please do that, please do that. That way, instead of I am serving him, he is serving me. There are so many pastimes in Vrindavan. I think Raghunath Goswami once was sitting and chanting. It was so hot. So Vrindavan, those who gone to Vrindavan would have known that Delhi is so hot. So one day, I think Rupa Goswami or Sanatana Goswami saw a small girl holding an umbrella. So Rupa Goswami said, what is this? Who is this girl? Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani personally coming and holding umbrella for Raghunath Goswami. This is the glories of the Supreme Personality and pure devotees. Even when Bilamangal Thakur, the old man, blind man, came to Vrindavan, Krishna used to carry milk and give him daily a pot of milk. When he asked, who are you? He says, I'm a Govala. I'm staying somewhere. I'm bringing milk for you. So, because for his devotee, he is ready to do any services. And this is a relationship. When devotee should always hanker to serve Krishna. And Krishna always hanker to serve his devotees. This relationship goes on. That's why we as a practice devotees, as much as possible, whenever get opportunity, we do make a service. Without service, there's no bhakti. Bhakti is not just devotional service. We have to grab. Rupa Goswami said we should have laulyam. Laulyam means the great, hankering for serving Krishna. That's the mood we should. That's why when chanting also, we are asking, hey Radhe, please engage me in Krishna's service. That's the chanting. So more chanting, more service. When we can make out, devotees, those who don't do services, their progress will be slow. We can make out. We can. We don't have to, anybody else certificate. We can make out ourselves. The devotee who does more service, his progress in bhakti is so fast, because that's what the Krishna want to look at. So with this, I'll stop here. Devotees can share their comments. Start with maybe Asha Mataji, want to start? Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
One thing I understood that um, uh, a devotee will take any pain, whatever he gets, but he will not tolerate the pain for others or another devotee. And that's it for today, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Archana Mataji, anything? Okay. Bhaskar Prabhu is not there today. Okay. Lakshmi Mataji,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Taking devotional service is intelligence, Prabhuji.
Hmm.
You should always chant Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Mariappan Prabhu,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
In 18, text 18 highlights about Jayatratha had contradictory qualities against even though he is a Kshatriya. Whereas Yudhishthira and Draupadi displayed qualities of pure devotees even after facing heinous activities of Jayatratha. And from that, we understand, I understand, I must always maintain the qualities of pure devotees, and I must always adopt the qualities of pure devotees, whatever circumstances may be. And Arjuna realizes all relationships of Supreme Lord have been perfect in whatever relationship he has displayed. Everything have been perfectly displayed by Supreme Lord, and Supreme Lord awaits to serve his devotees. Likewise, devotees fully surrender and depend on the Supreme Lord's intelligence. We have to respect nature. We have to always respect and get along with the nature. We should not do any activity against the nature. And power of mantra is displayed by Brahmastra is a typical example. Whereas in the modern science is displaying all destructive equipments, which is indiscriminately destroys all materials and men in the earth. Arjuna remembers Supreme Lord's sense of joking and humor, frank speaking, and devotees must always, in the mood of serving to Supreme Lord. Bhakti is devotional service. Bhakti is always maintain the service, attitude of service to Lord, devotional service. That much I understood, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Murali Prabhu, want to say anything? Okay. Sumit Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhuji. So I was little on and off in between. I got some work. So whatever I heard is about how the Lord plays perfect part whatever he does. So he is he's known as Rasaraj. So all whatever he does, that is perfect. Like he is a perfect son. He's a perfect lover. He's a perfect friend. So his relationship with Arjuna is in the Sakhya Bhav, and because of the Yogamaya, Arjuna is also like he knows Krishna is the Lord, but due to the Yogamaya, he is acting as the friend. So uh, actually, he is like eternal associate of the Lord, but here he's playing the part of a friend, and Lord is perfectly reciprocating with him. And last verse actually very beautifully explains the emotional connection between Arjuna towards Lord Krishna, how they behave with each other, and they call each other with different names. And yeah, Prabhu, that's what I understood.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Shamala Mataji, you want to say anything? Mute ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ, unmute ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಹೇಳಿ
Jai Krishna.
ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ.
Actually, we should not anything against our dharma, like Jayaprada. Whatever we are not getting, we should not expect that. That is one thing we have to understand from this story. What is not in our hands, we should not expect that. That is again, we should follow our dharma. And the modern technology of borewell method has been explained. So how great our religion, we should think of that. And also Krishna has become the role model for all the characters. That is great.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you, Mataji. Varsha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So for today's takeaway for me is like God is perfect in all the sense, and he wants to serve his devotees like Nanda Maharaj and Arjuna. And I simply have to surrender Krishna or be dependent on him to understand my real independence. So that is what is today's takeaway, Prabhuji. Thank you for the class.
Thank you. Uma Shankar Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji. So Krishna actually refers to his pure devotees spontaneously. Well, the bhava should be developed towards him. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all. So we'll stop here. Vancha kalpatarabhyasya kripa sindhaveva Patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namanam ananta koti vaishnav vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. We'll see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.